The repercussions of this, I'll read it again just so that anybody that didn't get it. In other words, if Christ's work is what allowed the Jews, like Peter, to go down to Cornelius' house, allowed the Jews to unite with the Gentiles, but it was actually sinful in relation to the law, and then we'll say that the law is still in effect, which presupposes that the law would still be in effect, then it would mean that they were sinning against the law. Okay? By fellowshipping with the Gentiles, which Christ has allowed, but which the law disallows, which was because of the work of Christ. And it would then make Christ a minister of sin. Okay? That would be the case. The repercussions of this would be obvious. The entire Christian message would be one of sin, and all people would have to abandon it and return to an obedience to the law of Moses. If this were the case, then Christ would have died for absolutely no reason at all. There would actually be no new covenant in his blood. If we have to go back under the law, the new covenant is null and void. It never got off to a proper start, in other words. That is the ramifications of what he is saying to Peter right now. Charles Ellicott explains this dilemma quite well. Is therefore Christ the minister of sin, he asks. Our English version is probably right in making this a question. It is put ironically and is a sort of reductio ad absurdum, which means reducing something to the absurd, of the Judaizing position. The Judaizers maintained the necessity of a strict fulfillment of the Mosaic law. They, however, still called themselves Christians. And here St. Paul had a hold upon them. You call yourselves Christians, he says, and yet you insist upon the Mosaic law. You say that a man cannot be justified without it. You must be under the law. You've got to adhere to Moses, which is what they argued in Acts chapter 15. All right? It follows that we, who have exchanged the service of the law for the service of Christ, are not justified. In other words, our relation to Christ has made us not better, but worse. A thought which no Christian can entertain. This is the problem with people that try to say you have to adhere to this precept of the law or that precept of the law or any precept of the law. Talking about the feasts not being fulfilled yet. Okay, we've got the first 3 were fulfilled when Christ came, and the next, or first 4, and the next 3 will be fulfilled when Christ returns. No, that is absolutely incorrect. You can't eat pork. No, that is incorrect. I don't care what precept you pull out of the law of Moses. It is done. It is fulfilled, and the entire law, the whole thing, lock, stock, and barrel, is obsolete. It is annulled. It is set aside. It is nailed to the cross. And as it says elsewhere, wiped out the handwriting. That's Colossians 2 as well.